Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Punaca parang bhikkave bhikkhu imameva kayang uddhang padatala adoke samattaka taca pariyantang purang nanappakarassa asucino pacca vekkati. Atti imasmin kayi kesalo manaka danta taco mansang naharu atti miccawakkang hadayang yakanang kilomakang piyakang pappasang antang anta gunang udariyang karisang pittang semmang pubbo lohitang sedo medo assu asakelo singhani lasika muttanti. Dear devotees, this is the part of recitation, a quotation from the Sathipattana Sutta, the Sutta for foundation of mindfulness. So far we have dealt with the early part of this particular Sutta, and today we are going to have the sixth talk on the same topic. Out of the four foundations of the mindfulness, the first one is your very body. Out of this body, the first and foremost instruction you find in this sutta is to see the body as body. This is itself is a kind of a revolutionary or radical kind of invitation, one to look the body as body, because often our awareness, the look clouded or puddled by many concepts, many perceived, preconceived ideas about this very body. It has many imageries and many images changing from moment to moment. So often you see it as rather misconception rather than seeing it as it is. So in this early part of this particular sutta, the Buddha, the Omniscient One, suggests quite an odd number of methods to see the body as body. The very first one is quite familiar for most of you, to see the breathing, contemplate upon breathing, the in-breath as in-breath and the out-breath as out-breath. More you penetrate into the basic or preliminary or intrinsic characteristic of the life, the breath, you are going to see the breath body. Through that you may come to the understanding of the body as it is, in the sense the body as body. And then gradually introducing the four postures, not only the sitting, the other postures like walking, standing, lying. So then you can see different modes or different postures of the body. With the developed mindfulness and the concentration on the path of walking meditation, accidentally you will meet yourself. You will be self-aware, or you have a body. And that body is the one now became the object of meditation. And when you are proceeding further along this sutta, the Buddha is presenting the other minor body postures, the going forward, coming backward, looking forward and looking sideways, bending your arms and the stretching your arms, and all the other activities like wearing the robe or handling your clothes, and all the kind of things, including your first and second job at the toilet also. So much so, all the postures, or it's a sub-postures, going to give a different facets of the body, as body. So much so far we came along, and today we are going to see the anatomical parts. And usually from the Theravada point of view, this is to say Asubha Bhavana, to see the repulsivity of the body. But I don't quite agree with that, because the Sathipattana Sutta itself is not confined to see this repulsivity only. Repulsivity is the aspect of body, specifically with this anatomical analysis, for the yogis, those who are specialized in concentration. But for the yogis, those who are more inclined to the inside meditation, have much wider scope along this analysis of 32 parts. The quotation we took for the topic of the day today, Punacha parang bhikkhave bhikkhu. Again a bhikkhu going to see, be aware of his very body from the bottom of the sole of the feet to up to the top of your hair, surrounded by the skin. There are many repulsive parts, such as the head hair, the body hair, nails, teeth, and the skin. This is the first 5. And likewise the detail 31, sometimes 32 parts are depicted. The very first 5 are the industry of beautification. This is the outer shell. And whenever a nun or a monk initiate or going forth, he is being taught the very first 5. Kesa, Loma, Nakha, Danta, Tacho. And in the reverse manner, and to show that he is going forth is for the understanding of the body as body. So when you are getting a shave for the first time, the first piece of hair will be kept in your hand, and your teacher will give this recitation. Look at this hair and contemplate, this is hair. And equally you may contemplate the other, this is head hair and the other body hair, and the nails, the teeth, the skin. So when you are contemplating, you are slowly become self-aware. The body is now going to change, and you will be shaven and taken into the order as a nun or as a monk. So this is the tactic used in the concentration technique of meditation. Not to let the mind to go astray along the sense desire, erratic feelings. Instead, recollect the repulsivity of the body parts. For example, from the meditator's point of view, if you are going to contemplate on the in-breath and out-breath, and when you are keep on continuing with walking meditation and make the mindfulness steadfast and the concentration is continuous, when you are sit and contemplate your body, you may feel the whole body as a whole in totality. And sometimes the mind takes time to see separate parts separately. And there also you can see the body is consists of many parts, sometimes as limbs and the main trunk and the head and that kind of thing. Or sometimes you feel the skin. Specifically in the inside meditation, you feel the titillation and tingling sensations and dripping of water and the mosquito bites and kind of thing, or crawling and insects. The skin becomes specialized. This is also one way of the natural unfolding of your awareness towards the body. Or sometimes you feel the skeleton, the structure. Specifically when you are in walking, sometimes you feel the muscular contraction and the dilation. Or sometimes you may see it as a lever system with the bones. Or sometimes you feel the skin. Like that, it's naturally also manifesting. So along the Sathipattana Sutta, if you continue, that is much more natural way of unwinding, unfolding. So when the mindfulness and the concentration develop up to that level, you can have 3 access, or you may be opening 3 doorways. Whenever one part, for example the hair, become prominent, or a piece of bone become prominent, and then out of this particular part, either you may see the color aspect of it, or you may see the repulsivity aspect of it, or you may see the elementary, whether it is showing a earth element or water element. Earth element means that the most prominent thing is hardness, like bones. When you are see the blood and the biles and other kind of liquid, it is the watery element. So likewise, when the body parts separately going to be conspicuous or prominent, you may use it as a color, and then you can have concentration meditation just like in Kasina Bhavana. The colors, you can get the blue color, you can get the red color, you can get the yellow color, you can get the white color. This is also an doorway opening for some yogis. Basically the most common and conventional thing is to see the repulsivity. So that is why the whole Buddhism is being rejected by the sense-based people, telling that Buddhism is teaching you to learn the repulsivity. Because that has been introduced through the concentration meditation. Therefore other tactics that can be developed to the body parts are being not given due consideration, due emphasis. The most interesting and most advanced thing is the elementary parts, the earth element, the water element, and sometimes when further it explains, not in Sathipattana but in other suttas, the fire element as well as the air element. Of course, in the breathing, in and out breathing, the air element is being taken as the most of the primary thing in the Anapanasati Bhavana. So therefore, you must not limit it to the repulsivity. You must know there are 3 ways. When you are coming up to that point, you are meeting a junction with biforked, not the bifork, forked, with 3 limbs. So there you have to be very patiently observe which one is more intrinsic to you, which one is more personal to you, and which one is more characteristic to you, instead of just starting with the repulsivity. The literature as well as the information has lot of stories and lot of incidents relating to this repulsivity. So that is antidotal to the characters which is more inclined to the sense pleasure. If your Anapanasati meditation or mindfulness on in-breath and out-breath is often distracted by the sense pleasure, to see the good pictures and to hear the good music and to have good smell and good taste on foods and the luxurious and the other tactile sensation of the opposite sex, as well as the thinking about these erratic things, often disturb specifically the young yogis, young meditators. When that is happened, the repulsivity of your body parts will give a good balancing. So this has been employed throughout the dispensation. A lot of stories has come into the records. So specific enough, most of these historical events are being reported by bhikkhunis. That means the elders, the female, and whenever they come across this technique of seeing the repulsivity of the body parts, it is giving a more penetrative message for them. The one bhikkhuni has mentioned that we always indulge and be proud of our beautiful body, and it has been sought for and demanded by the opposite sex. But if you turn it upside down, even your mother will not tolerate the smell as well as the appearance. It is so repulsive. But when it is intact and painted, decorated, and with the cosmetics and other kind of thing, it is the highest charming thing in the world. But if you remove just the outer skin, whole beauty gone. His whole is just skin thick. If you have any little penetration or wisdom to penetrate this skin, and then you can see the reality, how repulsive it is, whether it is male or female, young or old, whatever may be. So therefore, this repulsivity has a very strong utility value for this sense pleasure, as far as the sense pleasure is concerned. And the other part is when it is coming to see the elementary or natural characteristics of its hardness, its softness, its liquidity, its heat, its cold, and its expansion and contraction nature of the air, like that, you are bound to lose the ego-centeredness. You don't feel yourself as a being, you feel like work of basic elements or sometimes basic parts. The best example given in the canon is, if you dismantle a royal carriage or the cart, as far as you are removed the part by part, there is no notion of the cart remains, then only the individual parts, the wheel, the pole, axle, and all the kind of thing. And whenever, usually the royal carriage or cart or chariot is the highest expensive thing at that time, even now it is the same. But once it is dismantled, individual parts have no that kind of a demand, that kind of a aesthetic value. Present day also, when you come to a capital city, you can see all the models of cars. But when you go, taken it to a garage and remove the part by part, not a single part is attractive. If you take into the children and ask to take at least single part for playing, nothing to take them. As far as you touch it, you will get contaminated with the grease as well as the dirt. Exactly the same in the body, if you dismantle, it's raw repulsive. Very difficult to touch it with. Even if you see the others are touching, you don't feel comfortable. Recently I had 2-3 video tapes to show the anatomy of the body. So while you are observing the really, you know why you are observing and all the kind, even then you feel like tiring. You feel like unbearable. And there's one thing made by vegetarian society, and they shows how the animal being killed and parted and kind of thing. You feel sickening. It is very difficult to observe. So if you are to see your own body, unimaginable to observe it. As far as you are concerned, as far as you are worried about the hairstyles and the decoration of the hair, so it's added beauty. But when a flock of hair fallen into your soup, then it is a criminal case. And your teeth, your expensive, very difficult to maintain it, and all the dentist has to pay and all the kind of thing. But when it is decayed, and with all the fighting, if the dentist is going to take it out and keep it in the glass and to show it before writing the bill, and if you ask him to put it back again to the mouth, it is unbecoming. You never think about. But just before that it was in. And you are brushing and caring and all the kind of thing. Once it is removed, finished. In the first and the second job also the same. So this is the one we are often overlooking and get attracted into the body. And that very attraction, it is very mystic, is the one projections to the other sex. Unless otherwise you have the attraction to your body, it cannot be projected to the other body. So therefore the Buddha here is teaching this method, ajjattang va kaye kayanupassī viharati, bahiddhā va kaye kayanupassī viharati, ajjatta bahiddhā va kaye kayanupassī viharati. You see these, the anatomical parts, the repulsivity of it, first internally, as far as the body hair, the head hair, the nails, teeth and the skin is available. While you are living, you can observe them. Or you can rationally deduce. Or you can, with the inferential knowledge, you can guess the other parts by looking at the post-mortem anatomy or something after an accident on the road. Sometimes you may come across that kind of thing. So when this is happening, observing, that is external. First of all, you have to do internal. When the internal happens, if you are efficient enough and managing to see the repulsivity or see through the skin depth of your body, you will try to see the body as body. It is not as a matter of beautification or cosmetic industry or any other liver system or any bodybuilding or muscular system, any kind. One aspect of seeing the body as body, and then easy to project into the others and see that is also the same. So when the meditation progress, in and out perspectives going to alternate. And sometimes it is being asked, so these to see the beginning of it and the cessation of it, arising of it and passing away of it. and then arising and passing away mixed. So this arising also, as far as the air element is concerned, you can see the beginning of in-breath, middle of the in-breath, and the end of the in-breath. And then once the exchange taken place, the out-breath, the beginning, the middle and the end. Like as you can see the breath body, it is so impromptu adjustment. If one in-breath is forgotten or gone, or in a few minutes if you are suffocation leading to death. Few seconds time, you will be fighting just like a fish taken out of water. So much of temporary arrangement or impromptu arrangement, in-breath to out-breath happens, but the continuity we call as life. But if you are observant in the in-breath and out-breath, you can see the beginning, the middle and the end. The whole body itself has its own course. The Buddha, or in the scriptures it says, basically the food is responsible for the body, and your desire, sensual desire is responsible for the body, and your conceit, the I am, myself or ego-centric ideas are responsible for the body, and the sexual intercourse is responsible for the body. The Buddha himself has suggested, knowing that body is out of food, that very desire for food can be replaced by food itself if you have the proper reflection. That is why when the monks are eating, taking the meal, they are asked to contemplate upon each morsel they are going to take. I am with contemplation taking this meal. This meal is not as aphrodisiac, not as the bodybuilding part, not for the beautification, and not for the showing of the parts. This is just for the sake of continuity of my celibate life, and to alleviate my suffering out of hunger, and to alleviate pain out of overeating. So that is what the meaning of the food. If you are serious and if you are contemplative to take food, this is one of the cause of your body, each and every morsel, then you will not be so attractive and overeating, and this all the kind of diseases will be taken care of. So that is what the way it is telling, you are going to replace the food by food with the proper contemplation, as well as the desire. You have so much of desire to see good pictures, desire to hear good sounds, and to have continuous smell, good one, and to have tastes, and the comfortable furniture, comfortable vehicles, and all the kind of thing, and your pet ideas. So without knowing, with or without knowing, or fostering the basic center where all the indulgences take place, namely the body. But when you are analyzing the body into the 32 parts and going to contemplate upon that, then you can see that very desire is quite based upon the false foundations. And the other one is the wrong notion of myself. And when it is broken into pieces, you are going to which part? One of my meditative monks, he told he took part and went and see autopsy, and then he saw the splitting of the body in the anatomically after the death to find the cause for the death, and they are taken part by part and cut open the head, the brain also taken out, and then you can see the hull in one table, the other individual parts and organs in the other table, then he found very difficult to understand which is the person, which part you can claim is as the person now. He was looking at the John, but which part is the John? Now it's gone. Very difficult to think. Both essential parts are in one table and the other part is here. So therefore the very notion of a being is been gone. That is why the Buddha himself says, if you take the example of a butcher and killing a cow and cut into pieces and different parts of muscles, the meat, going to display in the shop. And there he will sell it as, this is the undercut, and this is that, this is this. And when the people go and purchase it, I need 1 kilo of this and that, they have the notion of a cow. They are talking about different parts. Likewise, that the very conceit also can be replaced by the conceit itself if you are looking at reflectively on the 32 parts. And your desire also will be alleviated as far as it is based upon this self-indulgence. That is also going with these 32 parts. So therefore, the contemplation of the 32 parts is going to get a kind of a revolutionary or radical change in your perspective towards the food, towards the sense desire, and towards your self-idea, myself or my being as such. So therefore, when you are doing Anapanasati meditation or when you are doing walking meditation, when it is penetrating, the concentration and the mindfulness penetrates, after a while, by itself, the whole body is going to look in terms of parts. And further, when it is penetrated, it will represent in terms of elements. That is what the next, the chapter of the Sathipattana Sutta 2. So it is slowly cut into pieces. More and more you analyze it, disintegrate it, and dismantle it. Slowly you are giving up the idea of a self, idea of one unit. Instead you get another kind of insight. It's a conglomeration of parts. Individual parts have no soul as such. When it is coming together, it's going to give an idea of a soul, a unit, a separate entity, a being, a woman, a man, all the kind of thing. So this is the anatomical parts. Cutting into the anatomical parts is challenging or proposing a null hypothesis for this idea of a being, a self, a man, a woman kind of thing. So therefore those who are very serious concern about their pet ideas and their egocentric kind of thinking are not happy with this kind of analysis. They say it is destructive. So therefore, if we are going to take the message of the Buddha to a new generation or a new community, this is not a good start. If we are going to talk this, most of the young generation will run away. They will not listen. Of course, the old crocs will wait. Because they know there is something kind of a truth in it. But for the young generation, it is appear to be destructive. So that is why it is starting with this breathing exercise and the walking exercise. While it is happening, when the meditation progress, definitely it is one stage, one episode in this revelation, in this unwinding, in this penetration. So when it happens, you must know what is the purpose of it. Purpose of it is to counteract or to work as an antidote to this desire. Specifically, the repulsivity of the body. But when you are taking the color, that is a separate object of meditation. And when you are taking the elementary part, which is yet to discuss, still opening the door towards the inside meditation. So therefore, this junction is the place, for the first time, you see within your body just as body, not as a being, not as a male, not as a female. So therefore, it is kind of a shake, a shock. Unless otherwise you are prepared, when this is happening, you feel like shattering off. You feel like something getting disintegrated. Sometimes this itself creates the boredom. Sometimes this itself creates the monotony, insecurity, uncertainty. But if the yogi, the practitioner, do not know what is happening, he will think or she will think, my method of meditation is wrong, or my teacher is not the proper one, or this place is not the proper place, or this food is not the proper food, or the climate is wrong. Something like the wrong attribution often take place. So therefore, if you have any understanding, perception about what is going to happen, will save your time. And when the teacher says, be mindful on the boredom, be mindful on the monotony, be mindful on the repulsivity, be mindful on the sloth and torpor, be mindful on the discouragement, and all the kind of thing, it is because definitely on the way towards seeing things as they are, this is one of the stages. So therefore, discourses like Dasa Sanya Sutta or Girimananda Sutta, before introducing the meditation on in-breath and out-breath, Buddha is listing and citing these kind of notions. You must know the notion of non-selfness. You must know the notion of the impermanent nature. You must know the notion of the repulsivity. You must know the notion of the sickening and unpredictable and the disadvantage of this body. Likewise, he is going to give a lot of sanya or perceptions, and that will be coming while you are progressing in the meditation, when each and every going to reveal, if you are unheard of, and if you are not expecting, it appear like something insecure, something unexpected, something boring. So therefore, have kind of a book knowledge, have kind of a deductive knowledge is recommended. Therefore, some, specifically those who have this sense desire as a character trait, do this repulsivity meditation separately, specifically in order to suppress it. But whether you do it or not, when the inside meditation goes, it happens. But not always frightening, because it can take the elementary kind of approach, or the color may be prominent, or repulsivity. That is why very famous story in the Sri Lankan commentarial books. One monk is coming from, it has happened in Sri Lanka, coming from one forest monastery towards the city. This is the early hours of the day, and it was a thick forest. So he was coming, and on the way he met a woman coming and smiling in a kind of a message, smiling and passing him. Soon he see the smiling woman, his eye catch only the teeth. and he saw the bones of the teeth. And then they appear like white. And he was already well versed in these 32 parts, and he has done enough contemplation on the bones, and immediately he got the perception of bones and he was contemplating. When it was so strong, it was giving enough hiatus for him to go to the deep concentration, and then automatically change it into the elementary kind of insight meditation, and he was really saw the things as they are. He was so contemplative, and then he saw another man is following, and he paused and asked the monk, "Bhante, have you seen a woman?" Because he is the husband, searching behind and running behind the wife, or searching for the wife. And then the monk told, "I do not know whether it's a woman or men. I saw some bones of teeth." And then the man was not taking chance, he was running and chasing behind that. And that was a historical plane, where the commentarial says, he never see the repulsivity. He only saw the image or the sign of the teeth, but he was well versed beforehand, so therefore it was enough for him to develop the sign of bones, and upon with the hardness, and he went along the white color and the hardness, and it was opening the direct knowledge on external body parts, because he was well versed beforehand. So therefore, this is the way it is related to your day-to-day activities. When you are versed in that, whatever the thing you are going to see after an accident or anything, your eye will catch the most developed part, and along that it will proceed with the insight meditation. So therefore, these 32 parts, you can either do it, or repulsive meditation you can do as a separate kind of meditation, or while the meditation going on together with entire breathing or with walking meditation, this will revealed slowly. Most of the time you will see in the Anapana or breathing meditation, the breath become very calm and quiet. The whole body will appear like a completely in the separate perspective. So that is the way the touching point get dispersed among the whole body, and it appear like a inflated balloon, or like a polythene bag full of water. Or sometimes you see some impulses happening everywhere. So likewise many things happen. So if you are not prepared, and if you feel this is not the way it is happened, of course you will open your eyes and see. But there is nothing wrong, that is intact. Sometimes you find only the upper part of the body remaining, balance is gone. Or the left side is remaining, other part gone. So likewise your very body going to reappear in a complete new way as your perception towards the things change along the way of meditation. So when it happens, you can see the body. Attikayoti vapanasa sati pachupatika hoti. You will be aware that there's a body. Most of the time you are using it as a machine. You will never take care, and you are not concerned about, unless otherwise it is fallen sick. But when in the meditation you all of a sudden meet yourself. You see, attikayoti. I have my body. When you are walking, halfway you will feel yourself, you will be self-conscious about yourself, then you see the body as a puppet. It's going here and going there, or like a lever system working. Sometimes while you are noting the right leg, maybe the left leg is moving. Or while noting the left leg, the right leg is moving, like that. So even whether you note it or not, the body functions going on. So likewise you see yourself as an outsider. This is the way it is, internal look and external look happen. Yavadeva jnanamattaya patissati mattaya. This whole effort is to gain the knowledge, to see things as they are, and to establish the mindfulness. So you are using the very body as the base, and it becomes your object of meditation and a source to develop the mindfulness. That is how you see the breathing, that is how you employ the walking meditation, and that is how you see the other day-to-day activities. That is the way you are looking at the 32 parts also. When the 32 parts come, your notion of being, I am, a self, is more challenged. And that is why many people repulsive it, because they have developed so much of the permanent notion, the notion of permanency. So such people, this will consider as something negative and destructive. But of course there is such a danger also, because if you are depressed and if you are going to see the bad side of it, and if you are overemphasizing, that can be destructive. During the time of the Buddha, and one day he was giving a sermon on the repulsivity of the body, and it was so touchy, so appealing. After that, he went to the forest for a silent retreat, and monks were contemplating again and again and again on this repulsivity, and few monks went to take their lives, committing suicide. They thought, what is the use of this life if it is so repulsive? And when the Buddha come back, and he asked the attendant what happened, then he told, Bande, you gave the instruction, and they were overemphasizing on that, and they found the whole life is useless. And then they found it's quite a rational deduction that to end the life. And then the Buddha asked everyone to come together, and a gathering, he told, if there is such a wrong, destructive part, the mindfulness on breathing is the remedy. The mindfulness on breathing never give that kind of a cleavages or that kind of a wrong track. So therefore repulsivity, you have to be very balanced in using. Specifically in the inside meditation masters, they say those who are specifically elderly people, after the sermons and the discussion on that nature, if they are going to contemplate their eating, often they eat half and give up. But they don't entertain, they can't entertain the food as such. Usually elderly people, the appetite is low. And on top of that, if you are going to do the repulsivity, and then it will be worse. And few days time, he will be leaving from the retreat due to the lack of energy. So therefore, when these things happen, specifically the disinterest nature towards the food and towards the meditation, towards the teacher, towards the method, towards the center, so overemphasizing on this also can happen. So therefore, you must understand, this is a part and parcel of the meditation. So therefore, the anapanasati or the mindfulness on in-breath and out-breath is really bringing back you to the real middle path. So therefore, it has the capacity to alleviate the sense desire, as well as the danger of thinking the whole life in the negative way. But it does not mean only that repulsivity. The 32 parts, analysis of the 32 parts has application towards the conceit, towards the desire or sense desire, and all the kind of, therefore advanced yogis, when the practice is advancing, you must know this one, but you must know the balance. So that is how 3 nuns, they have given a reappraisal of their meditation. They have completely done the job through this meditation, through these 32 parts. That does not indicate only with repulsivity. They were so skillful to enter the meditation either by the color, or by the repulsivity, and later develop the elementary kind of analysis, and then convert into the inside meditation and the liberation. The whole very body is the nest of suffering, nest of the diseases, but that is the very instrument for the liberation too. So therefore, internal external approach, it has been repeated as a refrain throughout the Sathipattana Sutta. But when it comes to this level, it has a special application. Because whenever you have a misconception about your body as a beautiful and ever young and all the kind of thing, definitely you are going to get the misconception of others. So on that case, you have to do the repulsivity. But the balancing is very important. So therefore, after teaching about this repulsivity, the Sathipattana Sutta, let's go more in detail or penetrating into the 4 elements. When it comes to the 4 elements, the repulsivity is no more, and you are going to see only the elements in the body. In your body, there is an earth element. That is the solid part. And in the body, you have the water element, that's the liquid parts. And there is the air element, that's the in and out breathing, and the other air movements to move your bowels, and many air currents, and the heat element. So likewise, the whole body is reduced to the elements or energies. When it is comes to the energies, and if you are trying to observe it through walking meditation or in Anapana meditation, you will see only the energies, but you can't pinpoint any place for the soul to be established, or a being, or maleness, or femaleness. As far as your meditation is not penetrative up to that depth, you may always end up with conventional idea, or the superficial idea of being. So no problem, it is already accepted. That is how the world, the conventions has been convened. But when you are deep going, so you are bound to lose the notion of the self and the notion of being. So that is how it is being slowly destructive towards it. So to face, unless otherwise, if you are going to entertain this kind of permanence nature or beautification and that kind of thing, your mind becomes so susceptible to the misfortunes of the life. You will never expect such a thing. At that time you will be highly depressed. And whenever the bad side of the life comes, your capacity or tendency to fall into the inferiority complex or to the mentally imbalanced situation is higher. Your mind is so immature. So mind is so tender, so even a small jerks, ups and downs will wilt it off. Just like immature vegetables, when you are transporting, they will get wilted and rotten. Once it is mature, it can take the transport stress. Exactly if the mind is continuing with the in-breath and out-breath meditation, and the mindfulness and the concentration comes, slowly you will be exposed to these 32 parts and to the elementary part, and you will find when you come to the 32 parts and the elementary, whole humanity is the same. Everyone is the same. There is no rationality, no racial difference, no creed, no sex, no ordained and unordained. Ultimately you will find there is no difference between the trees and the rocks and the rivers as well as the body. So that is how you get harnessed and harmonized with the whole universe. Unless otherwise you consider I am living, I am a male, I am female, I have my own rights, and my main thing is to indulge the sense impressions. Likewise, you have your own entrepreneurship. That enterprise ever leading to disappointment. The moment you recognize yourself as energies, and it is exactly same with the other members in the family, other members in the society. And then it happens, you are ready to take all the vicissitudes of the life. Otherwise, the discrimination among people will ever increasing. More and more you go to the elementary part, you feel it's just a limb of a big thing. You feel like a grain of sand flying on the sand bed. Nothing special. There's nothing to recognize yourself, nothing to have a conceit about yourself. And that is how, when you are young and still not meeting with your mishaps like old age, sickness and death, if you are developing the stamina, if you are developing the resistance capacity with this kind of meditation, with the maturity of the body, with the life, the years, the age, the mind also will take a parallel kind of evolution and the development. Otherwise, only the body growth, and then the mind will be stagnating. So then imbalances happen. So that is why when the people become pensioners, and they feel hopeless, no use of life, because they are just outdated coins, no one using. But if you are using this body for this kind of analysis, or proper tool for the insight, Asiatic countries, they ever accumulating. More you old age and have the grey hair, higher value, because they are much experienced with the life, and they are encountered with good and bad of the life, and this theory of repulsivity or analytical mind, and to see the elements will give a universal answer. At the beginning, of course, with the bookish knowledge or theory knowledge, that if you put into your computer, ultimately it will rationalize it or take inferential kind of thing. If that only, you will take it for experimenting, go for meditation. Unless otherwise, it is being proved, it is being tested with your inferential knowledge, you will never put it to test. So therefore, this kind of thing has to grow in a gradual manner. First listen, and second you contemplate, and once it is proved and the mind going to do it, do experimenting with, then only the maturity can come, or the direct knowledge can happen. And then, whenever you meet, whenever you associate that kind of people with the same interest and the same attitudes, you feel quite familiar, you feel quite comfortable. And that is why the meditating people get together and try to associate as closely as possible, because the whole other world is behind this self-indulgence and the senses, maximizing the self-impressions, and therefore you can see the disadvantage of it. And once you come up to the certain amount of maturity, you will get attracted more and more towards the meditating people, and they have their own mechanism by listening, by contemplating, as well as by meditating. They are preparing for the old age, preparing for the death, preparing for the sicknesses. In that sense, this repulsivity of body is quite helpful. And further, it's a very technical and very deepening part is the elementary part of the body. So, if you have specifically weakness in meditation, in the sense so much of the sense desire come and battering you, then you have to meditate upon the repulsivity. Otherwise, the anapana meditation will lead you towards these stages together with the walking meditation, and ultimately whenever these things are coming, you will be prepared in the meditation as well as in the day-to-day life also. So therefore, this is giving you yet another opening or window to see the body as body. Attikayoti vapanasa satipachupatita hoti yavadeva jnanamattaya patisatimattaya anisito chatiherati nachakinchi loke upadiyati. More you go deep into that, you will be live in the world with not much of contaminated with it. You take it light. You never get hooked up with. Anisito chavihati nachakinchi loke upadiyati. You will not grasp this kind of pet ideas or this kind of racial ideas or likings and disliking, so your approach will be more choiceless. More you become choiceless, more you become young. More you become choiceless, more you will be living in the present moment. Of course, otherwise, under the bewilderment of self or sense pleasure, you will be completely miss the bus, losing the present moment. And you may believe 100 or 120 years. But the Buddha says, what is the use of it? You are not living, you are dreaming, you are in the sleep. But this repulsivity as the element kind of approach, awakening you. So he says even a single day of meditation or opening to this present moment through this repulsivity of the 32 parts or elements is worth than the sleepy kind of life. So that also you have to do when you are young and when you have enough time and when you have enough energy to face it. Otherwise it is too late. So therefore each moment or each hour you are spending on this contemplating the body as contemplating is a way of preparing to see the face the world. And there are more to come along the Sathipattana Sutta. Today we came to a kind of a junction. How a being going to lose its notion of a being or a self, instead try to see the common characteristic of all the beings. And that way you are dissolving of your tension, dissolving of your inferiority or superiority complex, and try to see things as they are. So, backed by the concentration and the mindfulness developed through the in-breath and out-breath and the walking meditation, you will be slowly reaching up to these levels, and ultimately it is corresponding to the insight knowledges, and that is happening completely in the personal basis, internally, and your attitudes towards the external things also will be changing. The beauty of it is, the change happens in such a way, it will not create any turbulence. Slowly you have to, you will be undergoing a evolution, a kind of a revolution. So therefore deconditioning slowly taking place. But Buddha says that each and every yogi must not worry to see how much that I have evolved, how much I have deconditioned. He says, as far as you are mindful, on the object, whatever it may be, in the sitting or walking, you are on the way home back. On the way back home. That is how the Taoism and the Zen Buddhists are talking. The only aspect is that you have to take care about is to be mindful. When you are mindful on the in-breath and out-breath, we call anapanasati. When you are be mindful on the walking meditation, we call the walking part, we call walking meditation. And the other small parts. And when it comes to the 32 parts, yet another approach. And on the element parts, yet another approach. So you are given with different tools, but like a foolish carpenter, don't fight with tools. They are just tools. As far as the mindfulness and the concentration develop, whatever may be the object, you are on the way back to your home. So I hope you will not miss the path. You will reach at your home in this very life, under this very dispensation. That is the basic idea of this, seeing the body as body in different perspectives. May the triple gems will bless you, and may you be healthy, wealthy and happy. Thank you very much. We have taken little more than 1 hour for the talk. So I would invite if someone have any specific questions relating to the practice or to the talk, or any statements regarding this. That is why you should have the common sense, because you are meditating, the world is not meditating. Most of the meditators think the whole world should meditate and they should treat meditators as separately. Nonsense, madness. World is the world. So you must know, when you are talking with babies, talk in the baby's language. When you are talking in Australia, you have to talk in the Australian language. When you go back home, you have to talk in the Sinhalese language. Like that, when you are talking with the yogis, we can discuss and share and say how much it is enlightening to see the world, see the body as elements. But if you are going to talk it with the non-meditators, communication problem. I think that is what, maybe I am very precautiously I am talking, that is what happened to Jesus Christ. When you go back to the Israeli, going to put negative message into positive language, people killed him, crucified him. So you also, when you are meditating, you must know with whom you are talking about. And you have 2 approaches. They have only 1 approach. Only see the body as this and that. But you have 2 approaches. Body as this and that. So therefore you use this as a tool and then use the common sense. And best example is, when the children are playing, they have their own language. Whenever they are relating to the parents just behave like children and use the child's language as far as they are with the game. But they know this is the child language. When you go back to your normal life, you use your language. Exactly, this is one of the very serious things in the Western countries. Many people have never thought, they are not exposed to that. So whenever you are relating with, your energy, your spirit will be dissolved off, because there is no one to share. But when you meet the people, those who are with the same taste, and they are getting together and doing meditating, you feel encouraged and will be recharged, because others also lose once in a way this kind of language, this kind of concepts, this kind of concepts. So then you feel happy. Otherwise it will get dissolved. So therefore it is called good vibes. If you have the healthy vibes, you will be taken to the waves. If you are going to get isolated in the wrong vibes, the concentration is lost. So this is a personal issue. So in my life, I had a very dramatic age. I was in the 2nd year of my university, and when I am doing the postgraduate also, I was associating all the people with so much of aspiration and going to become this expert and that expert and like that. Daily when I am participating in this kind of a talk, and I go back to the university lectures, I feel what a nonsense. What I am going to teach, what I am going to learn. Definitely I know I am leading to the chaotic. But I have to leave something, so I have to learn and remember and cram the formulas and all the kind of thing. But later I found it is very difficult to maintain this game. But I found very difficult to find companions. So it took 8 to 10 years for me to take a decision. And once you mature enough, you find that how to relate with the other people. Therefore my simple advice for the young generation is, do not talk this subject with the commoners. Do not show your precepts or your moral life to the commoners. When you go to the Rome, you have to behave like a Roman. When you go to the house, when you become a visitor to the bat's house, you can't ask for chairs. Because they are hanging creatures. So exactly that. These are common sense. Buddha is not going to teach them. So you must know how to do it with and find the time and maximization and go for this one. So this is a hard part, of course. Even while discussing, I find very difficult to communicate. Because people very rarely have an invited approach to this kind of talks. So, but I have trained you and conditioned you for more than 2 months. And therefore some people I hope will agree. But even disagree, I don't mind. It's very difficult. I know it is difficult.